today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation.
You are watching The World 24/7 on the NDTV network. I'm Parmeshwar Bava. We've got an action-packed bulletin lined up for you. Let's begin with the top headlines we're tracking at the moment. Police arrested a man after a car hit a crowd attending Liverpool's victory parade that drew thousands of fans of the Premier League winning soccer club to the city in northwest England. US President Donald Trump has escalated his campaign against Harvard University, threatening to take away $3 billion in grants and lashing out at some of its foreign students as radicalized lunatics. Iran would be able to survive if negotiations with the United States over its nuclear program fail to secure a deal. This is what President Masoud Pezeshkian has said after Donald Trump described weekend talks with Tehran as very good. The German Chancellor has said Ukraine has been given permission to use weapons supplied by its allies to launch strikes deep inside Russia. The European Commission's latest report reveals that Switzerland, France lead as top Schengen visa issuers for Indians, and Germany's close behind. A big focus, nearly 50 people, including children, were injured after a car ploughed into fans celebrating Liverpool's Premier League trophy parade on Monday evening. In fact, a total of 20 people were treated for injuries at the scene, with a further 27 taken to hospital. But take a look at the dramatic visuals playing out on your screen from the Liverpool victory parade. A 53-year-old man from the Liverpool area has been arrested in relation to this incident. And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that the scenes in Liverpool, which are playing out on your screens at the moment, were appalling, and added that his thoughts were with the victims. My colleague Vishal Vivek has been tracking all the finer developments for us. He joins us live at the moment. Vishal, we're given to understand that the car crash is not being treated as terrorism.
Well, that is exactly right, and there has been a spate of these incidents where, these car incidents have rocked nations across Europe. Just last week, there was an incident, although it was not a car incident, but there was an attack at the hands of a local woman in Germany. So there have been similar attacks in Europe. In May, there was another car ramming incident in Germany in which about 8 people were injured. Back in December in Germany, around 6 people were killed when a car plowed into a crowd. So these incidents have rocked the continent in the last 1 year or so. And in this incident, the man arrested is again not a migrant. He's a local man, 53-year-old British man, right, who is suspected to be the driver of the vehicle.
Vishal, as always, thank you so much for joining us with the latest information. In other crucial news, Donald Trump has escalated his campaign against Harvard University, threatening to take away $3 billion in grants and lashing out at some of its foreign students as radicalized lunatics. Trump said he would consider removing the money from Harvard and giving it to trade schools in the US. In fact, in a separate post, he railed against the university's international students, saying he was waiting on Harvard to supply foreign student lists so that the US government could determine how many radicalized lunatics, troublemakers, all should not be let back into our country. These are the US president's words. The comments intensify Trump's attack on Harvard since his inauguration as the US president in January, including a freeze of more than $2.2 billion in federal funding for grants at the university. And for further clarity, live from LA, we have with us political consultant Matt Klink. Matt, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on NDTV. Is Donald Trump's targeting of Harvard really about university governance, or is this a calculated culture war playing out as some argue?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I think on the one hand, Donald Trump and his supporters are clearly upset at Harvard University's really lack of attention to aggressive anti-Semitic protests that occurred for a very long time. Unlike other universities in the United States that have played ball, so to speak, with the Trump administration, Harvard has not, and Donald Trump is acting accordingly. But his announcement that he's considering potentially giving $3 billion of grant money to trade schools, that's a direct play to Donald Trump's base. The strongest Donald Trump supporters are non-educated men, or non-college educated men, I should qualify. And I think that trade schools are where they're going to go to gain the skills they need to be gainfully employed in a higher tech economy in the United States. So it's a win-win for Donald Trump if he decides to do it.
While Trump says, though, the money would be better spent on trade schools, Matt, is this a clever pivot to working class America, or would you argue it's a veiled attack on liberal academia?
It's both. It is a definite play to working class America that, by the way, they now vote Republican. So it's putting his money where his mouth is. Right. And it also is another attempt to tell Harvard, if you were going to take federal money, you can't play by your own set of rules. This is not about free speech. This is about doing things the American way. And they simply want a list of students so that they can check to see if they participated in the pro-Hamas riots that were so prevalent on Harvard University's campus. And Harvard is not cooperating.
Well, but calling foreign students radicalized lunatics, demanding lists from Harvard, some argue that this is dog whistle politics. Meanwhile, others argue it's something more dangerous. But Matt, thanks so much for your time. We'll, of course, revert to you for regular updates.
Thanks for having me.
With that, let's turn our attention to what's happening with Iran. Well, as the fifth round of nuclear talks with the United States concluded over the weekend, Iran has declared that it is capable to survive even if the negotiation fails, an option that is non-existent from Donald Trump's perspective. The US president has repeatedly warned Tehran that should talks fail and a deal acceptable to Washington not be reached, the consequences will be dire for Iran. Donald Trump has threatened a combination of crippling economic sanctions and bombings across Iran's strategic facilities in order to wipe out its nuclear ambitions forever. In other news, a Palestinian official has confirmed that Hamas has agreed to a proposal by US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff for a Gaza ceasefire, only for an Israel official to deny that the proposal was Washington's and add that no Israeli government could accept it. Mr. Witkoff also rejected the notion that Hamas had accepted his offer for a hostage deal and a ceasefire in Gaza, telling Reuters that what he had seen was completely unacceptable and that the proposal being discussed was not the same as his. Geopolitical watchers, meanwhile, are arguing that actually at the moment, Netanyahu has been forced into a very tight corner and there's no way out. But for the latest, let's go across to my colleague Mohammad Ghazali, who's been tracking the finer developments. Ghazali, take our viewers through the latest developments.
See, as for some reports from agencies and other media reports in the West, suggest that Perhaps a Palestinian official was quoted saying that they have accepted, a Hamas official basically stated that they have accepted a ceasefire proposal floated by Mr. Witkoff, the special Middle East envoy of the U.S. administration, which includes the terms and conditions are as such that the Hamas release around 10 hostages, live hostages, and there will be a 70-day period of truce, and there will also be a partial withdrawal from the Gaza Strip by Israeli forces. But Israeli officials, as well as Mr. Witkoff, later refused or sort of rubbished these claims that Hamas has not accepted any such proposal. Now, the onus is on the U.S. and the Israeli administration to keep going ahead with the ceasefire talks, because last week we heard that how Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, declared that he has called back all the Israeli negotiators from Cairo and from Doha, who were stationed there for negotiations about ceasefire. And in the last 1.5 years, if you see, since this war has broken out, there have been multiple such stages when it appeared as if both the parties will a ceasefire. But at the end, what happened was that both the parties would end up blaming each other for violating the ceasefire or not agreeing to the terms of ceasefire. But this time around, the pressure certainly is on Netanyahu, because for the first time we have seen a strong condemnation, no action, but just condemnation from UK, France, and other Western nations. And Mr. Netanyahu believes that his only objective for the war is to defeat Hamas. And he went on to say on record that the priority right now is to dismantle Hamas or to defeat Hamas in the Gaza Strip, or to disarm them rather than taking the hostages. So before hostages, the preference is to sort of defeat Hamas. But amid all this, we have seen the humanitarian crisis and how Israeli aerial strikes have killed civilians there week after week. The strikes have only intensified. So the aid is only trickling into Gaza Strip. There is a dispute over that as well, that who will be distributing the aid, because Israel and US are planning to sort of deploy outside, or not a local agency, not a UN agency, but an outside agency to distribute aid in Gaza. Even that is under discussion. But as far as the ceasefire deal is concerned, though the Hamas official claims that they have accepted the ceasefire proposal, but no word yet from US or Israeli officials.
As always, Ghazali, thank you so much for joining us with a detailed lowdown. Meanwhile, Israeli strikes killed at least 54 people in the Gaza Strip on Monday, including some 36 in a school-turned-shelter that was struck as people slept, igniting their belongings. This is what local health officials have confirmed. The military said it targeted militants operating from the school, but we can confirm that at least 54 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip just on Monday. Meanwhile, you must note that the German Chancellor has said that Ukraine has been given permission to use weapons supplied by its allies to launch strikes deep inside Russia. There are absolutely no range limits anymore for weapons delivered to Ukraine, not from Britain, the French, or from us, also not from the Americans. This is what Mr. Merz said at a conference in Berlin on Monday. He further added that means Ukraine can defend itself by attacking military positions also in Russia. Let's switch tracks now, where Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri will start a 3-day visit to the US beginning today. A follow-up to Prime Minister Modi's visit to Washington in February. This is what the Ministry of External Affairs has said. Deputy NSA Pavan Kapoor is also expected to travel to the US for the Indo-US Tech Dialogue under the rubric of the Trust Mechanism, which is about critical and emerging technology. And with that, let's turn our attention now to the neighborhood, to Bangladesh specifically, where primary school teachers joined public sector workers in protests against the interim government amid growing discontent and political uncertainty in the country. For further clarity, we have with us from the Center for South Asian Studies at JNU, Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj. Professor, thank you so much for joining us on NDTV. Really appreciate your time. Given the description of a warlike situation by Mr. Yunus's press secretary, to what extent is Bangladesh at risk of deeper political instability or unrest before the next general election?
There are multiple contentions within Bangladesh today. One is, of course, you have correctly mentioned that there is a number of protests are going on. That particularly one is Public Service Amendment Act, that the administrative service people, they are protesting. students, they are protesting. Ready-made garments, because there are hardly any investment is taking place. Recently, the statement has come that zero investment has come to Bangladesh in last 8 months.
Right.
And then, of course, that the school teachers, students, everywhere, you know that there's a chaos, there is a law and order problem, and people are coming. This is one crisis. Second crisis, of course, is within the position. I mean that who were anti-Awami League and anti-Hasina. Now there are frictions, there are contentions within them. The BNP is asking early election. Even the Army Chief General Walker has also indicated to have election within, in 2025 by December. And Mohammed Yunus is not in mood to have it before 2026 June. This is one second issue. Third is very strong and very important issue that Army has also raised the voice, and the political and strategic analyst has also raised the voice about the humanitarian corridor that has given to the Myanmar, basically to the Rakhine state, and that was strongly opposed, that we will not compromise with the sovereignty of Bangladesh. Even the former erstwhile Prime Minister, she has also indicated that I never compromised with from the foreign powers. They wanted a base in Bay of Bengal. They wanted to use the Bangladeshi land, but we never allowed. Even there are also protests. There are also strong resentment regarding a foreign country will use Chittagong Fort. So there are a number of issues are going on, and somehow they are vested interest, and what the mandate was for the interim government to conduct free and fair elections and timely elections. I think they are not meeting. They are not going with that mandate, and they are basically entering in the reform process. Number of reform process that is not accepted to the people, to the positions, to the oppositions.
Right.
Even what Mohammed Yunus government is doing, that they are changing the textbook, they are changing the symbols, they are changing the heroes, they are changing number of policy decisions they are taking. Even they are also trying to change the constitutions.
Right. But Professor, considering General Wakar-Uzzaman's call also for elections by December and Mr. Yunus's plan for mid-2026 polls, how realistic would you say it is for Bangladesh to actually meet these divergent election timelines?
No, I tell you, they are very frankly, there were one provisions of caretaker government, and the caretaker government's mandate was to conduct free and fair and inclusive elections within 3 months, and that has to create. But what you can see that 8 months this government has been in power, and they were supposed to reform in the electoral process and let the political parties participate and join the electoral, so that the elected people, elected government will, with the people's mandate, will have the policy decisions. So this is one of the contentions. But point is here, the BNP wants early elections, but newly formed political party, that NCP, that is National Citizens Party, they do not have any organizational strength, they do not have any supports, and they don't want, they are buying time basically, and they are leading with the Yunus to have later elections, not the early elections. And this is one of the contentious issues between the
we'll of course
positions
keep a close eye on all the key developments with you, Professor Bharadwaj. Thank you so much, though, for joining us on NDTV with your views.
Thank you.
Slipping into a very quick commercial break for now. Back with a whole lot more for you in a moment. Do stay tuned.
More news that matters.
Big exclusive. Tulsi Gabbard gunned down by Pakistan-backed cowards.
When you interact with people on ground, you're able to reflect their sentiments much better.
More debates that shake the system. More exclusives you won't find anywhere else. Not just another prime time. It's a prime time that's unmissable.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
We should remain students for life. And this learning journey commences with bold ideas, inclusive thinking, and a shared commitment to shaping the future. The Education Conclave brings it all together, from early learning to reimagining schools, to unlocking global possibilities. From policy to practice, vision to impact, graced by the Honorable Minister of Education, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, and featuring insights from leading figures and innovators in the field of education. Join NDTV Education Conclave, 27th May 2025, only on NDTV Network.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered.
Welcome back. Well, French President Emmanuel Macron played down an incident in which his wife pushed him in the face as the couple arrived in Vietnam to begin a tour of Southeast Asia. Let's take a look at those dramatic visuals that are going to play out on your screens. Well, in this video, Macron's wife appeared to shove her husband before he descended from the presidential plane late on Sunday, causing him to step back before he recovered and wave to the cameras on the tarmac below. Meanwhile, Paris in June, the Amalfi Coast, Swiss mountain escapes. If you are among the many Indians dreaming of a grand European summer, you're in excellent company because over 1.1 million Indians applied for the Schengen visas in 2024 alone. This is actually according to the European Commission's 2024 State of Schengen report. But here's the part no travel brochure mentions. The real journey begins not with your flight, but with your visa appointment. And this year, where you apply from could very well determine whether your summer is chateau chic or cancel before check-in. Going by newly released data though, Switzerland, yes, it's scenic, but also it's the smartest visa bet. You shouldn't be surprised because Switzerland boasts an 87.94% approval rate for Indian applicants. And more impressively, it granted nearly 2 lakh visas last year. Even better, Swiss visa appointments are currently available next day in Delhi, Mumbai and Bengaluru. That's almost unheard of for peak travel season. As far as France, Germany and Italy are concerned, they're popular picks with strong odds. France approved over 1.65 lakh visas with an 83.63% success rate. Germany and Italy were also quite generous, both nearing 89% approval. The only catch? You'll need to move quickly because France opened its Delhi appointments from the 26th of May and Mumbai from the 28th of May. In terms of Belgium, well, it's being called the best-kept visa secret because it's a quiet gem. Belgium has the highest approval rate of them all, 90.56%. It may not be your first choice for a holiday, but it could be the smartest starting point, especially if a smooth visa process is your top priority. And Greece may be all over Instagram, but behind the dreamy photos lies a bit of a harsh statistic. Only 68.15% of Indian visas were approved. That's actually the lowest on the list. So if you're planning a June or July departure, your choice of consulate could determine whether your Euro dream takes off or gets grounded. Meanwhile, in a significant policy shift, India has resumed granting visas to Afghan citizens across multiple categories, nearly 4 years after suspending all visa services following the Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan. This amid warming up of ties with Taliban. As you know, Dr. Jaishankar just a few days ago had also dialed his Taliban counterpart. And you must note that while no official public announcement has been made, a notification posted on the official visa portal, which is indianvisaonline.gov.in, confirmed the rollout of this new Afghan visa module in late April. So as I mentioned, it's multiple categories, including student, business, medical attendant, and UN diplomat visas. Thank you so much for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. As always, we'll keep tracking the latest for you. Do stay tuned.
In the last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Gensol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the